Our distinguished speaker is here with us, the father of the habit change movement, Martin Grundberg. We're all excited here to learn from him. Can you all show us some move your body in a way to show us that you're excited to learn? Can you move your body in such a way to show that you're excited? Are you excited to learn? Excited? Move your body. Show us that you're excited. Yes. And we're going live on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're going live on YouTube as well. So do share with your friends so they can come in and learn. Wow, look at that. Everyone's so excited. Wow, Kun Am, welcome. Nice to see you. Such a passionate learner. Never miss a session like this. Fantastic. Hello, Lynn. Welcome. Yes, we are ready to get started. We are 2 minutes past 8:30 Malaysian time. Now, I'd like to tell all of you a story, if you will, but let me make it short. A short story, H-O-R-T, right? Okay. All right. Now, since I changed my stories, my life has changed. And I continue to change my stories, and I continue to change my life for the better. I have become a profound storyteller. Not only do I tell stories to inspire others, but I tell stories to inspire myself, to change my habits, and to change my life. So what is my story this evening? What is your story this evening? My story this evening is that we are going to have a fabulous time adding tremendous value to each other. So let's see what happens. That is my story. So with these words, my name is Dr. Peter Chi. I'm the president and CEO of ITD World. I want to welcome all of you to Let's Coach Masterclass. Let's Coach Masterclass is a monthly event organized by the CCMC Alumni Club, which stands for Certified Chief Master Coach. I'd like to say a very, very big thank you to the committee members led by President Guy Rouse. Hello, he's right there. You can see the background, CCMC alumni. So Guy Rouse is the president, and we have vice presidents, Gregory, Rick, Angela, Flores, and Muti. Thank you all so much for making this happen. Now, Let's Coach Masterclass is part of ITD World's 100 Million Leaders Mandate. It is our commitment, it is our vision to bring sponsored coaching programs to 100 million leaders all over the world. And today is one such activity. So thank you all for being here. And we have a very distinguished mega guru, father of the habit change movement, Martin Grundberg. I personally have learned so much from him. My life has changed over and over and over. So with these words, I want to hand over the torch to the president of CCMC, Certified Chief Master Coach Alumni, Mr. President Guy Rouse, to introduce our distinguished speaker for today. Let's give him a big hand.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Peter. And thanks for that introduction. A special thanks to ITD World for sponsoring the CCMC Alumni Masterclasses. As Dr. Peter mentioned, the CCMC Alumni is a group of master coaches who want to grow coaching culture everywhere. And through this Let's Coach Masterclass, we continue to grow our coaches and share the value of coaching to the world. Now, I'm honored today to introduce our Masterclass speaker, Martin Grundberg. Martin is a creator and inventor of the Habit Factor. He's a former founder and CEO of C3 and Networks and C3 Networks and Home to Office. He's twice won the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for marketplace ethics. And Martin is a foremost authority on habit development for goal attainment. And he's recognized, as Dr. Peter mentioned, the father of the modern habit tracking movement. Now, he was invited to present his revolutionary insights about habit and goal achievement at TEDx in the United Arab Emirates. And he's authored a number of books, which has been featured on New York Times, CNET, Open Forum, Lifehacker, and Mashable.com. And on a personal side, of course, we like stories. We must tell a bit of a personal side. Martin is an avid waterman, surfer, sailor. He considers himself an accidental triathlete. And he's completed quite a number of Ironman distance triathlons. So, wow, quite an interesting character. And so today we're going to learn about the power behind behavior change coaching. And in life, everything is a fabulous story. And Martin's masterclass, Change Your Stories, Change Your Life, is going to give you the pointers to how people think and essential keys to personal transformation and this long-term goal achievement. So without further ado, I give you Martin Grundberg. Welcome, Martin. Over to you.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Peter. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Good evening, everyone. It's only 5:30 a.m. where I'm at. So yes, what a great intro, and thank you. Every once in a while, that's the term that's used for me. Interesting, which can be taken a couple different ways. So here's our quick agenda. Guy hit the nail on the head. The truth is, as expert coaches, it's in our imperative to ensure that we create personal transformation that is lasting. So right off the top, we're going to talk about this new behavior model. And then Peter said, hey, why don't you talk about all three books? So this is a special presentation because typically it's just one. It's a lot of content. So we're going to talk about this behavior model, then we're going to deviate. We're going to set that aside. We're going to get into habit. Then we're going to get into pressure. We authored a book called The Habit Factor in 2010. In 2015, the pressure paradox came out. So we'll talk about core ideas there. And then we'll get into the meat of this, which is the story element. We do have a couple breakout exercises we should be able to fit in, and then we'll go into a Q&A. So as expert coaches, all of you know this, and at the same time, this is what mastery is. Mastery is covering the fundamentals, and it's about repetition. So who can tell me another term for transformation? And Guy, I'm going to lean on you, either chat or Mike. I'm looking for another term for personal, well, it's for transformation, but obviously it fits for personal transformation. Anybody got a term? The cartoon here is the clue.
Metamorphosis.
Woo! Who said that? Brilliant. Yes. So the idea is when we transform, we metamorph, and the metamorphosis is very interesting concept because it's actuated in our skills and our habits. Thus, this cartoon here, we have a butterfly explaining to the policeman that that's an old photo. He was once a caterpillar and now he's a butterfly. And what we know is that the butterfly's habits are obviously very different than the caterpillar's habits. So transformation, metamorphosis are the same thing, but the key idea here as coaches is the transformation happens in and with our habits. And that's not just me, that's basic definition right here. So that brings us straight to this, what we call the behavior ecosystem. And it's really a 30,000 foot view of our behaviors. We all live in this. Peter lives in it, I live in it, you live in it, everybody's in this. And I'm going to give you a quick example. It's a bit silly, but it shows you, because most behavior models represent behavior in a linear fashion. And this is an ecosystem. It's truly what has emerged from this book, and it's what takes place on a daily basis. So here's an example. A comet strikes, boom, it affects my environment. I feel terrified, and I start running. Maybe I hide under a desk. So I'm hiding under a desk and I'm thinking, OMG, the world is ending. That's my story. So comet strikes, I start running, I hide under a desk. Now there's no more comments for, let's say, an hour or two. I feel safe. So then I take a walk outside and I'm on the beach. This is an ecosystem. Again, we all live within. Now, it's not always linear like this. Here's another example. I step on a train or a subway and it feels unsafe. So my environment immediately changes my story, and then my behavior changes. What do? I grab my wallet or I grab my purse, and boom. So environment, unsafe, my story changes. It goes from here to here, the information, and then I grab my wallet or my purse. So we're going to table that ecosystem because we're going to come back to it. But when it comes to habit development, and by the way, I'm going to go, excuse me, real quick, habit, everything is actuated here in the middle circle, the middle concentric circle. So that's the first book, that's the habit factor, and that's what we're going to focus on. Let's try this. Key habit development ideas. The first one is this. Good habits happen when planned. Bad habits happen on their own. So it reminds me of, there's a Jewish proverb that says, bad habits are like a comfortable bed, easy to get into, right? And hard to get out of. That's bad habits. When it comes to good habits, and we're going to get to this, this is a tracking sheet we'll get to. When it comes to good habits, we want to plan. Here's a quick question, because you're all experts. Is this a skill or is this a habit? Tying our shoes. Anybody?
Perla said a habit, a skill. Marielle said both.
Who said that?
Marielle said both.
Marielle, brilliant. You win the prize. Woohoo! Yeah, the answer is it's both. And it's very important to reiterate that. Remember the concentric circles where it said behaviors, habits, skills? Habit and skill are what I call fraternal twins. They're almost the exact same thing. Now, if you go out in the behavior science world, often scientists, psychologists, they trip over themselves, tragically trying to create a distinction, the difference between habit and skill. For the most part, it's a semantic difference. They are very, very similar. Again, fraternal twins. When you learn any skill, you're cultivating the habit. And here's further proof. How many people are familiar with the 4 levels of learning or the 4 levels of confidence? Just give me a feel. Is it 90%, 100%, 20%? Any idea there, Guy?
We've had Hina say yes.
Okay, good. Well, and a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people are. And as master coaches, it's imperative we understand the process to learn, whether it's a skill or a habit. And I want to talk you through this really quickly. So go back to before you could drive. You remember what that was like, Guy? So say you're 15 or it's called unconscious incompetence. You didn't even know how badly you drove because you hadn't begun to drive. Then you started practicing. So you were consciously incompetent. You almost killed a family member because you were learning how to drive, right? And then the next level is conscious competence. You got better. You were aware you were better, but you still weren't very good. And the highest level, of course, is unconscious competence. So this is where you tie your shoes without looking, without paying attention. This is where you drive, and this is semi-scary, actually, because a lot of people drive like this. We're checked out because we're so comfortable driving. It's unconscious competence. And habit and skill share this same level of automaticity, which is the key word. Everybody got that? That makes sense? That's how habit and skill are very similar. Here's another example. In the brain, it's the same. They reside in the exact same place, Peter. I know you know this. When they're fully formed, it's in the limbic structure, except for when we're practicing and it's difficult, it's in the prefrontal lobe. So practice, practice, practice. Ultimately, skills and habits at the highest level end up in the limbic structure. Everybody agreed? Got it. So very important. Now that tees us up for PAR. When the habit factor came out in 2010, that was all we were promoting: plan, act, record, reassess. Now, a lot of coaches, and there was a book popularizing something called the habit loop, right? But I'll table that for a second. So plan, act, record, reassess. This is how we are going to practice the habit and move it to the automaticity. Plan, act, record, reassess. We're going to break down the process. Just write down PAR. All right. You are not a rat. Who's a rat here? Humans, I believe we're all humans. Humans have 3 innate capacity. We have choice, we have intention, and we have reflection. What's crazy to me, and I shouldn't use that language, is the habit loop is based on the study of rodents. So it's not terribly helpful, maybe 10% helpful. You're a human. So what I like to say is you are not a rat, you are not a rodent. The habit loop, which everybody's running around thinking is fantastic, has some challenges, some significant challenges, right? When's the last time a rat or a rodent reflected upon their day or their week? When's the last time they chose what habit they were going to cultivate? It doesn't happen. Humans have this capacity. The science of the habit loop was studying rats and mice. So this is what PAR looks like. And this is what habit alignment looks like. These are 2 key concepts: habit alignment and habit strength. Really quickly, if I'm going too fast, somebody raise their hand or say stop or ask for clarity. I want this to be fun and entertaining and interactive. So when we're thinking about PAR and habit alignment, here's a simple example. This is straight out of the book. Peter knows this. If it's run a marathon, well, a lot of people say, I'm going to use a to-do list and I'm going to call a trainer. I'm going to buy shoes. I'm going to sign up. And it's SMART goals. It's a bunch of to-do items. The habit factor promotes this idea of habit alignment. Your goal, guy, is to run a marathon. What are the core recurring behaviors you can do and plan? And we're going to talk about how this works that will drive the goal's attainment. So for instance, if it's run a marathon, I know I need to be hydrated and I need to stretch and I need to run. And then the question is, what's the minimum? So write this down: minimum success criteria. Minimum success criteria. Is it 6 glasses of water or is it 3 glasses of water? Does that make sense? Is it 50 push-ups or is it 10 push-ups? Am I going to run for 25 minutes or 5 miles? The minimum success criteria sets the bar. And when you're starting, you start low and then you elevate the bar after 4 weeks. So the next part of PAR is to identify the target days of the week. Because we live in a world with pattern and rhythm, one week to the next, right? Everything's energy. Energy has this innate capacity, if you will, to form patterns and rhythms. So each week goes by. If we're running for 20 minutes on Monday or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we're moving much closer to our goal much more quickly. Everybody got this? I'm going to show you another example. So when it comes to goal achievement, it's less about a to-do list and it's more about core recurring behaviors. I hate to show this slide. Who tracks habits like this? Who tracks habits like this? Who?
I
hope
do.
I did. Sorry. Who else? Keep
Yeah,
talking.
Yeah,
So what's the challenge with knowing what I just shared? Who can share what the challenge with this screen, this process for, and by the way, this is better than not tracking at all, but what's the problem with this? Anybody?
Linda said she can relate to it. Billy Chan says, got track is better than not track. Linda said, become compliance pressure. And Hina says, I tried it, but it didn't work for me.
Okay, well, I love that. I love all those comments. And so the real challenge with this is what does this tell me? Do I meditate for 20 minutes or 2 minutes? Am I supposed to meditate every day? My point is, where's the plan? Now, again, it's better than nothing, but I don't know what the minimum success criteria is. And I don't know what the target days are. Everybody get that? So this is what, by the way, again, better than nothing. I'm not trying to bash it. I'm trying to share this idea that when we want to promote habit strength, we do it from 1 4-week tracking period to the next. So this, it may be an ugly tracking sheet, and that's actually what we call it, an ugly tracking sheet. It was the birth of not only the book, but the app. There is a free app called the Habit Factor. So it incorporates PAR. So what happens here, Guy, is we put the name of the habit here, and then below it in parentheses. So push-ups, 25. And then what we do, Peter, and I know you know this, we choose in the T column, what is our target days? Is it Monday? We put a 1. If it's not Tuesday, we put a 0, and we just use 1s and 0s. And then so we fill in all the T's for each week, 1s, and then in the A's, 0s or 1s. And then in the comments, we write, this was awesome, or this wasn't awesome. I did great, or I missed today. So it looks a little bit like this. This is a very high achiever. He happens to be a mayor of one of the largest cities in LA. And he just sent me this, and it occurred to me right as I was preparing, I might as well throw this in and share with you. So he went through the process. He's 8 weeks in. I mean, I just got this text a few days ago, and he is stoked. He's fired up because you can see he's following the process binary, and he's adding notes. This guy is a mayor. He's a high achiever, and yet he's taking the time to plan and cultivate habits. Any questions, comments? We're going to have a breakout in a second, I think, if that's okay with everybody. So we keep it binary. We add the habit name up here, and then we add 1s and 0s in the target column. And we add comments as we act and track. Plan, act, record, reassess. So a lot of people are like, that is ugly. That is unprofessional. Maybe, except for, again, that guy's a mayor. So you tell me if that's what he's, I think they have a multi-billion-dollar budget. Having said that, this is what the app looks like, much more clean. And for professional coaches, there's almost nothing better, because somebody creates their habit tracking chart, and then they mail it to the coach. And so the coach and the coachee are on the exact same page because they agree upon what habits to track. And then each day they check it off. And so everybody's on the same page. And if you're thinking, well, this guy's not a doctor or a scientist, what does he know? Here's a psychologist. I recommend this to my clients. This guy's a professor and a PhD, and it's the exact same thing. So he was he was via Twitter. I had presented last week at a university, and he snuck into the presentation, said, I learned a lot. I said, what did you learn? He shares this. The point is, this is a process that has worked, has proven to work for 12 years, and professionals use it with their clients. It's a great coaching tool. Now, I think we have time. If you want to break out, I have shared the template with Peter's team. You confirm that you have this, Peter? Yes, no?
I don't have this. Can you say who you shared it with?
I shared it with Aaron.
Yeah. So
Hi,
Aaron,
Martin. I have the template. I have the
put it
template.
in the chat box, please. Yeah. Just put it in the
Okay.
Which
chat.
one, Martin? Which one do you want me to share?
It's the one that says template.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. It says
Martin.
the habit factor tracking template. Now, what we can do, if we're in agreement and we have time, is the process. We identify the goal. We have, let's say, 5 to 7 minutes. Identify your most important goal, and then 1 to 3 habits that support it. So your most important goal may be to write a book, let's say. Well, the core habit that's going to drive that is writing, right? But instead of just putting writing in a check mark, we're going to say the minimum success criteria is 20 minutes. The frequency per week is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We want to keep the bar very low when we're starting with PAR. The idea is we cultivate habit strength from one 4-week tracking period to the next. So we're not going to fill out the entire sheet. We're just going to go through the process once for one habit relative to one goal, right? And then establish the parameters, frequency per week, minimum success criteria. Does that work? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great.
So how many in the breakout room and how many minutes, Martin?
Well, depending on how many people, I think 4 or 5, and then the final part of this, Peter, is if there's time, they can share with the group what the big goal is. And by the way, there doesn't have to be a big goal, but it teaches you this process of habit alignment. The idea is after you fill out for one habit the parameters, then you share it with the group. You say, my goal is to write a book. I'm going to write 2 times a week because I've never written anything for 15 minutes on Monday and Friday. And you share that with the group, and then they share their setup. Does that make sense?
Okay. So 4 in a group, and for how many minutes, Martin?
5 to 7.
Okay. Brandon, 7 minutes, 4 in a group. And everyone, when you get into the breakout room, please turn your video and be nice to each other and talk to each other. And we'll see you back in 7 minutes. Yeah. All right. See you all back in 7 minutes. Thank you, Martin.
Yes. The idea is to
download. Please download
take
the file. Yeah. In the chat box.
Yes. What I'm getting at is take 3 or 4 minutes to plan yourself, and then take a minute to share what your plan is. Got it? Great.
And if you can't get to the breakout room, come back to the main room and talk to us. Okay. Enjoy. Go ahead. Launch. Brandon. Are we ready? Yeah. Okay. Enjoy. See you in 7 minutes. Just click to accept. Go into the breakout room and talk and share. If you can't, then just come back here. Wow. Look at that. Everyone's going in. Look at that. Wonderful. Wow. But EGI guy is not going in. Hey, Martin also gone in. Really? How come? Uh-oh. You put Martin in the breakout room too? Okay. Let's see what's happening.
Good.
Let's see what happened. Oh, they're all in.
So,
wow.
Dr. Peter,
Wait,
what
let
is
me
your
just look at the
target?
breakout. Hang on. Let me look at the breakout room. Some breakout rooms don't have enough people. Let's see. Martin. Hey, Martin is in. Some people have come back here. So let's stay in the main room. Martin is in which room? Can we bring Martin back into the main room, Brandon? Room 9 doesn't have enough people. Carmen is in room 9. Move back to the main session, Carmen. Yep. Hang on. Let me just try to sort out the breakout room.
I can join
Evan and
Carmen,
Brennan.
okay, I can join her.
No, she's
Hang
only
on.
one person. Martin is back. Okay, good. All right. So wonderful. Okay. Yeah, look at that. So we have our own breakout room here, right?
That's right. Share your
Yeah.
habit parameters, Peter.
Actually, there was one comment that came up from Trin, and Trin was saying how to keep motivation to continue is the point. So how to maintain that motivation is what's
that's
great question.
That is a great question, and I have a great-ish answer that I've held in. At the end, I have the Q&A, and I have a few slides, Guy, to back up in case something like that came up.
Excellent.
So,
Always the only other one.
Can you prompt me when we get to Q&A if you want to lead off with that? That's great.
Sure.
Yeah, this is a lot of content. I feel like I'm maybe moving a little.
That's great.
Yep. One second. Our office building has the air conditioning broken, so it's 80 degrees in my suite, which is awesome.
Sweet.
Sweet, exactly.
Excellent.
I know. 80 degrees
early morning
at 6 a.m.
Wow. Wow. Where are you? You're in Orlando or
San Diego.
Oh, okay.
San Diego. Yeah, I may actually prop the door open, but then I may have to close it later.
No worries. Brandon, you lost Dr. Peter.
Yeah, not. He's jumping around.
Excellent. Good.
I didn't really want to leave the door open, but it's the only way to keep it a couple degrees cooler, I think.
Wow. But you should be used to it, running triathlons. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, well,
you could get a bit of water.
Yeah, it's been a little while. The good news is at 6 a.m., not a lot of people are running through the halls.
Oh, that's true.
So unless somebody does, then I'll close it.
Don't be worried. We're living in the modern world.
Right. We sure are. Internet's working.
That's good. Touch wood.
So where are you living?
I'm in Manila.
Where are you? Manila?
Yeah.
Wow. And
so we got a few people back.
Great. Maybe we can ask one or two to tell us the parameters of their plan, the habit and the parameters.
Van, Nita, do you have some parameters? Want to share them with us? Don't be shy.
Yeah, they're probably muted.
Well, I can share with you that I had myself decided I was going to do push-ups.
Nice.
So my parameter was to do push-ups and then to get a bit more bulk on the top. Because I looked for the one exercise that I can do that would increase the size of my upper body. Okay, that is just a thought. And so push-ups was the thought. So to do it regularly.
That's beautiful. So the goal is to bulk up. That's the goal.
Yeah.
The habit is the push-ups or burpees, which is I'd recommend those. And
Okay.
then the parameters, though, Guy, are how many are you
Mhm.
trying to do? If you do one and your target is 25, your minimum success criteria, you don't get a check for that, right? So what's
No.
your target? What's your minimum success criteria?
I want to do 100 a day. That's my
Oh,
target.
Well, okay.
I want to.
All right. We're going to use this example because there are a couple.
I started with 4.
All right.
It's funny. I started with 4 and I could do no more.
Hopefully we get. All right. We're going to have to pull everybody back in.
All right, Brandon.
And
2, 1. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. Great to see you, Dr. Peter, the traveler.
No, I went to breakout room and had meet some surprise participants and had good sharing. Yes.
Well, we probably can't go any further till we review a couple examples. So Guy shared with me his, and there needs some refinement with his plan. As a coach, I would share. So guess what Guy told me? His goal was to bulk up, upper body, bulk up. That's the goal. The habit, nice, Peter. The habit then is push-ups, right? The goal is to bulk up. The habit is push-ups. Now the question becomes, what is the minimum success criteria? And he said to me, it almost blew my head off, 100 push-ups a day. Now, as a coach, somebody give me some feedback why that might be not the best plan. I hate to pick on you, Guy, but I know you're tough and you can take it. Why is that not a great plan?
May I try?
Say that again, please.
Sorry, may I try? This is
Yep.
Marielle.
Yes, thanks. Thank you.
Usually it works better when we start with small, simple steps and then we just, grow from there.
Yes.
Because that also inspires us. So if we do like, I don't know, 10, for example, if we do 10 and then you do that for a week, that also motivates you to do more the following week. So that's my insight on this.
It's incredible insight and you're spot on, Maria. It's brilliant. The fact is, guys, like if he hasn't been doing a lot of, if he hasn't been doing, somebody's ringing. If he hasn't been doing a lot of push-ups, we as a coach, if I'm coaching him, he'd be set up for a huge failure. To go from 0, right, Maria, to 100 a day, every day.
Painful.
Well, it's not just painful. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. As a coach, we want to set you up. So what I would say, I would challenge you is say, that's a great ambitious target, 100 a day, but let's just try 3 times a week to start for the first 4 weeks, 3 times a week. And rather than 100, 35 push-ups 3 times a week. And now we're setting you up for success. Now, here's the question, according to the habit factor process, if Guy does 25 and we've agreed that 35 was the minimum success criteria, does he get a 1 or a 0 if he does 25 on his target day? That's right. You get a 0. You get a 0. It's binary. You either hit the minimum or you don't. All right. Everybody in agreement? By the way, when it comes to PAR versus Q routine reward, everybody thinks, well, what about the reward? You need a reward. You got to have a reward. I don't know about you, Peter, but after I run 5 miles, I don't want to eat chocolate cake. I'm just not interested. What I do want to do and I'm excited to do is to check off that I ran 5 miles. That is the reward. And Maria nailed it. It's called self-efficacy. Most of you may know this term. It's the ability to produce a desired result. Self-efficacy, the ability to produce a desire, that is the ultimate reward. Now we've set Guy up to win. Guy is absolutely going to win because he's only doing 35 push-ups 3 days a week, and he's getting a lot of ones, and he's going to match his target for 4 weeks. And then everybody wins. Now he's building habit strength. Remember the levels of learning. So the next 4-week period, what are we going to do, Guy? We're going to go 4 times a week, 45 push-ups. And then the next 4-week period, we're going to go 4 times a week, 60 push-ups. And then the next 4-week period, 5 times a week, 75. You can see how you're inching closer to everyday 100, and you're building strength, not just habit strength, but real strength. All right, we got to move on. I'm sorry to say, we could just spend all day on just habit. But that brings us.
You can start your push-ups now, EGI guys. Start your push-ups now.
That's right. We'll take questions at the end as well. Got to keep moving. So that brings us to pressure. I should have showed you this. This is book number 1, The Habit Factor. Book number 2, The Pressure Paradox. I'm going to move quickly through this. When we looked at the ecosystem, where does pressure reside? Here it is. Here's the ecosystem. Where is pressure? Trick question.
Environment.
Yes, that's why I studied it. There's a reason they call it habitat, right? Habitat influences our habits. Got it? Except pressure exists in here too. We create pressure all the time in our heads. All the time. We fabricate pressure. So it's external and internal. Everybody got that? Everybody agrees? Beautiful. So again, I could spend 3 hours just talking about pressure. I'm going to try to do this in less than 15, 20 minutes. Oh, I'm going to have to close my door. I'm going to have to close my door too. Real quick, take a poll here while I close my door. Is pressure the enemy of success? Yes or no? I'll be right back.
Drop a note in the chat box, everyone. Let's hear what you have to say.
All right, what's the consensus?
2 no's, 2 yes, 1 no, yes, another no, yes, no.
All right,
no,
so it's
yes.
pretty split. That's great. There's a lot of yeses and there's a lot
And
of
some
no's.
yes and no's. And some
Right.
yes and no's.
So here's the real, well, I'll show you the next slide and then we'll talk about it. Anybody recognize these faces? Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Lincoln. Here's the question. Were they successful? Anybody going to say no? Yes or no? Anybody saying no? Are they success? Are they known? Are they renowned for being successes? Incredible, inspirational heroes. All of them are. Why? If pressure were the enemy of success, and that's an actual thesis, there's a book out there that's their core thesis. Pressure is the enemy of success. It's truly impossible because there's Lincoln right here. Here's Lincoln. All of these people were under tremendous pressure. So it wasn't the absence of pressure that made them great, right? It's because of the pressure and the way they handled it. So now the question becomes, how do I handle pressure? And by the way, pressure is neither good nor bad. Does anybody, I mean, the truth is it's neutral. Habit is neither good nor bad. These are supernatural forces. It's incumbent upon us to help our clients harness. So here's where pressure really influences our lives. Productivity, performance, and peace of mind. Not really going to have time to get into peace of mind. You can bring it up in the Q&A. But think about productivity. If we shrink a deadline, Guy, right? All of a sudden I feel intense pressure. And a lot of times I'm far more productive. What happens the day before you go on a vacation for 3 weeks? You're hyper productive. We all know this. It's the most productive day of your life before you check out for a month, right? That's because of the pressure and you've managed it. It also influences performance. There's a reason there are Olympic records set in every Olympics. Intense pressure. Intense pressure. And rather than crumbling and being the enemy of success, they excel. And the question is why? We're going to get into that. Peace of mind, again, you can bring up in the Q&A. So the answer to this question lies in this picture. What's going on here? Anybody?
If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
What is this man lying on?
Are those nails?
Yes,
Oh
thank
my.
you. So that is a bed of nails. This is the answer, people. He's lying on a bed of nails and it looks like a woman standing on him. Now, what would happen? Let's say those are 500 nails. What would happen if we took away 499 of them?
The pressure concentrated on one spot.
That's right. Yeah. So if there was, you've never heard of a bed of nail, right? There's no bed of nail. There's only a bed of nails. The area. So what's the formula for pressure? We learned this in 7th grade in the United States. Who knows it? Don't Google it. I see you Googling it. Stop. What's the formula for pressure? All right, time's up. Here's the formula. Pressure equals force divided by area. Very important. Pressure equals force divided by area. That means the event, Guy, you got to give a TED talk, right? And that's the force. The pressure you feel is intense. Now, if I change the area and I say you have 10 years to give it, what happens to the pressure? It diminishes significantly. Now, if I say, Guy, you have to give a TED talk in 2 hours, what happens to the pressure? It increases dramatically. So area is the answer to mitigating pressure we feel. We adjust and address the area. Let me give you an example here. Think of a peer support group, right? What happens when people go through trauma or they feel intense pressure? This is why support groups exist. This is like the bed of nails. We surround ourselves, we increase our area. It helps diminish the pressure. This entrepreneur group I was in for 10 years, there was an entrepreneur who tragically committed suicide. The group was formed because the story goes that the group was formed because of his suicide. Today, that group is over 10,000 members. It was this idea that we're going to surround entrepreneurs with other entrepreneurs to give them support. That increases the area, diminishes pressure. So here's the formula again. Pressure equals force divided by area. What constitutes area? Well, we need to prepare. So we add knowledge, teachers, skills, mentors. This is how we increase the area. Time. I bet money's in here. Money. If you've ever felt pressure and then you add a few $1 million, the pressure goes down. The point is you're adding resources. Pressure equals force divided by area. Increase the resources. Good. All right. So to improve performance, what do we have to do? Because there's intense pressure and then we have to give an event. What do we have to do? Well, it's hidden in 3 P's, the answer. 3 P's. To improve performance, we plan, we prepare, and we practice. Now, what does that mean? Plan is, what's the ideal outcome? What are we going for? Prepare is the gathering of resources. We just went through that. Time, material, expertise, skills, mentors, as many resources as we can get. That's how we concentrate. And then we practice. And practice has 4 levels we'll get into in a sec. I want to talk about preparation really quickly, share a quick story. One of the best tennis players in the 60s, one of the best tennis players all time is Rod Laver. Many of you have heard of him. It was just serendipitous, but I had the good fortune of taking a stroll with him. My daughter and his granddaughter were on the same club soccer team or football team. So this is 7-ish years ago. He's 76 at the time. The best tennis player in the world for his generation by far, 11 Open championships. And we're strolling along and I ask him, Rod, why do you think you were so great? And he's like, he's super humble. He's 76. He's trying to deflect it. He starts talking about how great Federer is and Nadal is. And I brought the question back. Tell me why you were so great. And he says, I played my best when it mattered most. And I was like, that's not enough. I need more info. How did you play your best when it mattered most? And he said, concentrate. And that was it. And again, he was a little older and I didn't want to press him. And we were just enjoying our daughter's time. So, but I slept on that answer, Peter. And I was like, concentrate. I still don't have enough information. I need to know more. So the next morning I see him, I say, Rod, what does that mean, concentrate? And then he confused me again. He said, prepare. And I didn't even want to press it. I didn't want to ask again. I like bowed and I walked away because he's the master. So he said, I played my best when it mattered most. And then he said, concentrate. And then he said, prepare. And I was totally confused. And then it occurred to me what the real answer is. When you prepare, you can concentrate better. When you have the right socks on, when you've tied your shoes correctly, when you have your grip right for your racket, then you step on the court and you have pure concentration because you don't have little details screwing with your concentration. Does that make sense? Preparation is essential for performance. Bear Bryant, one of the best football coaches of all time, he said, everybody has the will to win, but not everybody has the will to prepare to win. It's a critical distinction, the will to prepare to win. Rod Laver prepared so well that he could concentrate. He won 11 Open championships. So quickly, 4 layers to practicing. We start, remember the 4 levels of learning. We start with low pressure, very low pressure. If you're learning to play soccer, you're not playing against a bunch of defenders. You're just touching the ball and passing it, right? But as you get better, you increase the pressure. A good coach is going to add defenders. And then you have game time pressure. And then there's one higher level beyond game time pressure. This is where, if you watch someone like Steph Curry, he is practicing beyond game time pressure. He's trying to get rid of the ball. He's the greatest three-point shooter, if you don't know, in history. And when you watch him practice, he says it over and over. I practice under such pressure, under such intensity, that when I get into the game, it becomes easy. He's comfortable. He's relaxed. He's confident because he's prepared and he's practiced under extreme pressure. Any questions? I know I'm moving quick. Peter wanted all of this: habit, pressure, and now we're going to get to story. One more slide on pressure. This is the zone. Some people call it flow. The guy, one of my heroes, Rick Sussinghouse, he wrote the foreword. He's a professional golf coach. He wrote the foreword to my new book. He read The Habit Factor back in 2010 or 2012. He ends up becoming a certified professional habit factor coach. He taught me this. He's a PGA championship coach. The flow, the performance resides in the middle of these traits. You want to come into a situation having prepared and practiced so well that you're confident, you're relaxed, and you're focused. And that's where the zone lies, right? Everybody got it? Well, save the questions for the end. I'm sure we're way-ish behind. Wow. All right.
Hey, you still got 16 minutes. Yeah, you still got 16 minutes. So I mean,
How
timing
many?
you.
How
16,
many?
16.
Oh, wow. All right. Well,
There's still good amount of time, right? How much time do you need?
that's fine. That's 16 minutes before the Q&A.
Yeah, I mean, it's 16
Okay.
minutes, and then there's still 15 minutes left for
All
the
right.
ending
Well,
part.
we'll
Yeah.
go through it quickly. So this is back to the ecosystem, because we've spent time here in habits and here in pressure. Now we got to get to story. But I want to share quickly. I interviewed a fitness coach. He's an expert himself. Tragically, his brother was kidnapped and murdered. But I want you to listen to this clip from our interview, because he talks us through this ecosystem perfectly. Now, he didn't know this ecosystem existed, but it's worth listening to.
Feel that even though people may not have the same type of, national news story with a family member murdered, we all have this stuff that happens to us, and to what you shared, a lot of what you shared, these things that happen to us, they change the way we think, and then and change the way we feel. And when the way we think and feel gets changed, it changes our behaviors, and then the habits that you talked about. And then these habits then in turn shape us even more. We stay up late. We get on social media. We watch serial killer documentaries and wonder why we think the world's such a terrible place.
Right.
And it's like you feel bad. A lot of your thoughts are negative, and a lot of the way you feel is negative.
Right.
And we have the power to change that. So, and one of the things why I got into fitness is because it's one of it not only can our thoughts and feelings affect our behaviors and our habits, but our habits can affect our thoughts and feelings. And one of the things that helped me get back from that dark place after my brother was murdered was I got into the habit of fitness.
So that's critical to understand. Without knowing this ecosystem, he articulated it beautifully. And here he is, a guy went through tragedy. His environment was affected. It affected his mindset. And then what he did was he got into the habit of fitness, which changed his environment, changed the results, right? The environment is both the inputs and the outputs, and his story. So the truth is we can enact change anywhere, but but it's actuated at the habit level. All right. So this is an example of a behavior model. I'm going to move real quickly. Semi-complicated CBT, TTM, just to give you a comparative analysis, compare and contrast. The idea behind the 3 circles ecosystem is everything. This is Einstein's mandate. Everything must be as simple as possible, but not simpler. We break it down to the core influencers. This is to illustrate, this is a quick video. If some of you have seen it, but the idea is to explain, just write down what's happening in this video really quickly. It's about 60 seconds. Pay close attention. All right. So who wants to go first? We got to do this super quick. Somebody tell me what happened in that video. You see anything, Guy?
No, waiting for. Drop it in the chat, everyone. Speak out, unmute and speak. Great to hear you.
Maria, what did
Billy
you say?
Chan says 1 minute of my life is gone.
Ah. But what did you see?
Kind of like an aggression at the end that kind of ruined the whole kind of framework of, you know, the whole structure. But he was trying to kind of like keep the order, meaning like not allow anybody within the frame. But I think it seems like he got mad and then, you know, he come back and broke everything.
Beautiful. Thank you for participating. Yes. So what we just witnessed, and that was beautiful. What's your name, sir? Perfect. So what Ham just said is he was mad. The truth is this comes from 2 psychologists in the 40s. They did an experiment. They showed this video, and out of 34 people, 33 of them created stories. Only one of them said it's 2 triangles and a circle moving in and out of a rectangle. Everybody else said it's a father beating up a son or a mother who's scared. We create stories. This is how we think. So we think in terms of story. Legend has it, Hemingway was asked to pen a 6-word story. This is it. How does that settle, Guy? What did you read there?
For sale. Baby shoes, never worn.
Right. So what does that mean?
Why did the baby not wear the shoes?
For me, I see it, maybe they don't have the baby passed away.
Yeah, that's almost what everybody thinks. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, some people tear up. They start crying when they read this. 6 words. 6 words, and we project a story of tragedy that it happens to me every time. A baby had shoes and was never born. But what the truth is, we don't know that to be the case. It could be a million things. So we project.
Dr. Lowe says no need to buy baby shoes.
We think in terms of story. Don't take it from me. Mark Turner, cognitive scientist. Narrative imaging story is the fundamental instrument of thought. This is how we predict, plan, and explain. I wish I could spend more time on this. This is absolutely essential as a coach. There are stories, and then there are meanings and associations we give them, and then there are more stories and more meanings and associations. So this is the definition of story in English. What's fascinating is it is both, and again, I can't spend too much time here. It is both fact and fiction, an account of incidents, events, right? And it's also a falsehood. That is completely nonsensical. A story is, that would be like me saying, if you were an alien, I'd say, here's my refrigerator. It's also an oven, right? There are very few words, Peter, in English that are their own antonym, their own opposite. It's ludicrous that a story is fiction and fact. Crazy. And stories make up our past, our present, the meaning. The contention in my book is the 6 most important stories when you're coaching are who, what, where, why, when, and how. And the book we'll get to later, hopefully, details this. But fact and fiction, past, present, future, story is everything. Story is woven into our language. What's the story? I can read between the lines, long story short. What's her story? What's his story? That's the end of the story. What storylines will emerge? It just goes on and on. We cannot extract story from language, from our lives. Can you read the room? And then we can get into religion, as this isn't to discount religion. Not at all. What this does is just explain to us that none of us witnessed those stories. Those are stories, right? Everything is a story. Even when we get into coaching, we talk about what's your why. Well, why is important, but really that's a story. And your mission, well, that's a story. Story is everything. And we predominantly think in story. Here's another example, Guy. Where are you going to park here? With your Rolls Royce. Where are you putting your Rolls Royce, Guy?
The furthest corner.
Yeah, that's me too. I'm down here. Exactly. Because we create a story really quickly. That last time I parked near some idiot, they dented my car, right? So we don't have time for this. I'm going to skip this. Laurie Gottlieb is a therapist. In essence, she says this: we assume circumstances shape our lives. But after 20 years as a therapist, what I have realized is that the way we narrate our lives shapes what they become. It's a big difference. It's not necessarily what happens to us, it's how we steer our stories. Stories, she also says, stories are how we make sense of our lives, and they can keep us stuck because habit is operating at the level of our mindset, right? So we're replaying stories over and over and over and over. So quickly, back to the 3 circles. The point is, when we're coaching somebody, they must go from point A to point B, which I can't see, but I'm presuming you can. And the way to do that is to transcend all 3 major components: story, environment, and habit. Say it with me: story, environment, and habit. All right? We must have them all aligned. Otherwise, somebody's working on their habits and they got a good story, but their environment's not conducive. It's not going to happen. Their goal is not going to be achieved. They need all 3 of these. So here's another example. This is just to demonstrate we need congruency, alignment. Quickly, this guy, to underscore the point, this is in the how chapter of the new book. Ryan Hall, he was a marathoner, 129 pounds guy. He wanted to bulk up just like you, except for he was the fastest marathoner in the US history. 129 pounds. He had a goal to bench 300 pounds. He benches 330 pounds. Why am I sharing this? Well, think about what he had to change from a marathoner, right, to a Hulk. What had to change in his environment? He was no longer on a track field. He was in a gym, right? Oh, I'm going to just go to the next one. Here we go, right? A gym. His environment changed. Now jump over here. What changed in his mindset? Well, interesting, because he's a peak performer, he actually had the same mindset. It's something we all must have. It's a cheesy acronym that I love. It's HERO. We have to be hopeful. We run our stories through this checklist. We hear ourselves saying something. The question is it hopeful? Is it empowering? Is it responsible? In other words, am I responsible to make the changes? And is it optimistic? HERO checklist for mindset. Now, both of those are going to be conducive and support habits and skills, which is going to actuate the transformation. Everybody got it? So the question is, where do you begin your journey? So everybody's a little different. So some people prefer one place, some people prefer another. In other words, some people prefer their environment, they get a coach. Other people change their story in their head. Peter, which do you prefer? You're muted.
Depends on the
Bless you.
goal. I will decide. Depends on the goal, which
Yeah.
will give me a quick big win. Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, the question is, it doesn't matter where you begin and what is required for lasting change. Kind of a trick question. The answer is all of them, right? Now, some people, we didn't get into the discussion with the circles, but you noticed that feelings and emotions, I'm going to go back real quick just to this picture. This is a 5-year transformation. Feelings and emotions are minimized. They're the membranes, they're the conduits. And the question is, why are they minimized? They're super important. And the answer is feelings and emotions are incredibly important from one moment to the next. But over a 5-year transformation, they're not going to matter very much. Feelings and emotions are ephemeral. They change, sometimes from hour to hour, let alone day to day. Over 5 years, you're going to have bad days, right? That's why the HERO acronym is so important. So when you, we covered that too. All right. So the question was going to be when you, or where do you, excuse me, we covered that. So here we are. I rushed to get us here. I don't know if we have time for a breakout as much as I've handed out, Peter. There are two story related exercises, correct? So you have those. I think we should probably just go straight into, because the exercise is self-explanatory, it has a sample. I think we should probably just go into Q&A unless you disagree. You're the boss.
You are the boss, not me. So you are
Well-
empowered. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll have Aaron share the handouts for stories in the chat box, so all of you can download it. Okay. So Aaron will share that handouts, and then you can go to Q&A. Okay. That's what you prefer? Yeah.
Yeah, and
Let's
that
do
just
that.
kind of leads us to a closing question. Kind of open it up, guys, is like, when you think about this presentation today, now keep in mind it was larger than most. The question is, how might this affect, we just want to hear some feedback, how might this affect your coaching? What can you apply here differently, whether it's story, habits, pressure, all the above? Just quick question.
Hi, Martin. Marielle here.
Oh, thank you.
So for me in a coaching conversation, it's important to listen to the stories that are not being said, but based on how your client is telling it, you can pretty much tell what story is formed in their head. So a quick example is this morning I had a client who was sharing that she wants to speak up more, but doing that feels inauthentic. And she was saying that, why do I need to be that? Why can't I just stay true to myself? Because she keeps on repeating that she's an introvert. So based on that story, it sounded like she sees herself as an introvert, and it sounds like it's a weakness, and she doesn't see that helping her in terms of moving up in their organization. So we talked around, we talked about it, and after that, she was thinking of, okay, so I don't have to really change who I am, because I, as an introvert, I have my own strengths, and we talked about that. So what can what value can you add as an introvert? Because it sounded like it's a weakness for you. So maybe that's what I can share. So this validates, what I learned from you. It validates that our stories in our head, it really affects, how we are, how we behave, our habits, and what we achieve.
Beautiful, Marielle. I love it. And so as a coach, and I'm sure you went through this, there are a couple really key important ideas. Traits can be learned. The truth is nothing stays the same. Just because I was an introvert doesn't mean I have to remain one. We tend to think, I heard a coach say, well, some people just they're not trackers. They're not habit trackers. That's not their trait. That's garbage. That's a story. If you really want it badly enough, and that's one of the questions that came up, and hopefully we'll get to it, it's about desire. So 2 key points. Every trait is learnable. And 2, everything is in a process of becoming. Everything is always changing. Just because something was something doesn't mean it needs to be that something. But the change happens at all 3 levels: story, habits and skills, and environment. So working with her or him, it's this idea, well, what would the story need to be? Because we're just creating it, right? Everybody, how many stories are you born with? How many stories are you born with? 0, right? Everything is learned, even our self-concept. We absorb those. So yeah, everything is in a process of becoming. Just because something was X doesn't mean it needs to retain that. And that's actually the challenge, and that's what's inspiring if we have the mindset to take it on. So I thank you, Marielle. Beautiful.
Thank you. I
So-
like what you said about everything is in the process of becoming. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
So I want to hand over to President Guy Rouse to manage this Q&A session. I think we could have a good 10 to 15 minutes, President Guy Rouse. And if you will allow me to share my screen, President Guy Rouse. Yep.
Thank you. Yes, so I think, Martin, one of the questions that came up earlier was, how do you keep one motivated to continue, rather, to keep that motivation to work towards that goal? It's easy to set the goals, but how do you keep that motivation up?
Beautiful. So I believe I have a question. I got to just click here, and a graphic, I should say, whoa, here we go. So, oh, by the way, here's a backup for becoming. Marielle, habit, this is the Ben Franklin story. This is in the new book. Habit is a means to change who we are. What did Ben Franklin do? He tracked his habits. He tracked virtues. He changed his character. It's also a means to change what we achieve and where we're going. Habit is a means to 2 ends. So to the to the motivation question, Guy. I love this question, and I have this just for you or them.
Trin.
How do you keep motivation? Well, 3 things are required for a habit. The most important, and by the way, this is actually an incorrect graphic, slightly incorrect. It's desire, knowledge, and what did we learn at the very open? We learned that habits and skills are the same almost. It's semantic. So that means skills cannot be here, Peter. Skills needs to be up here. So if you're following along, this is what it takes to stay motivated. There must be, so at the university last week, a woman asked the very same question. When should I quit? I've been trying to track, when should I quit? Here's the answer. If you don't have desire, quit. Quit right away. Save your, if you have desire, never quit. As it relates to habit development. So that's the answer. It's simple. We must have desire. We must have the capacity to perform the habit or the behavior, and we must have knowledge. That's how we develop habits and skills. Excellent question. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? I would think there must be a number of them. What would you say, Martin, if someone wanted to, you talk about creating good habits, creating things, but what happens if you want to change someone, turn someone around? Someone is doing a bad habit. Do you just take other habits or focus on other goals? Or how do you change that bad habit?
It's okay. So it's excellent. So when it comes to bad habits, the idea is to replace them with a good habit. We focus less on killing a habit, focus more on building a replacement. There's a great saying, a nail is driven out by a nail. Habit is replaced by habit. You cultivate a good habit in its spot. That's the key to bad habit, killing bad habits. Cultivate good ones.
So perhaps that leads to a follow-up question, Martin, just a quick one. So
Yep.
when you have a new neural pathway, you have changed a new habit and a new pathway to a new habit. So the old habit, the old pathway still remains there. And sometimes it may relapse, it may come back. So then probably 2 parts to the question. One, is it true that the old pattern's still there, the old habits, although it's changed to a new one? And then second would be, under what circumstances it becomes, the old habit comes back, it relapses?
Well, I'm not sure I've understood the first question, but I'll answer the second first. And the circumstances are almost always environmental related, right? You get around the wrong people. If you had quit smoking and then all of a sudden you're at a party and there are a few drinks and all your friends are smoking, they walk outside. Next thing you know, you may be smoking. Now, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world, you're a bad person, but that's a quick, easy way to relapse. And it begins with that environment in the ecosystem, right? What was the first part of the question?
Yeah, so psychologists talk about a new neural pathway. So when you change
Yep.
a habit, you have a new way of doing things.
Yep.
So that new
Yep.
way may override the old way of doing things, but the old neural pathway, is it still present there? You still have it there?
Yeah,
Because
well,
you can go back to it, right?
yeah. So what we're dealing with is this idea of habit strength. That's why I keep saying, I don't know where the sheet went, 1 4-week period of tracking after the next. And we cultivate this automaticity. The more automatic it becomes, the more habit-like it becomes. And so that's it. As long as we're practicing the behavior with intention, we're strengthening it. Now, if we get it fully automatic, there's no reason, like I don't track my running anymore. Now I'm 15 years later, but I don't track my runs. I'm in the habit of exercising. So yeah, the key is this idea of habit strength. And it's from It starts, it's difficult, it's not easy. And that's what we're saying as coaches to people. That's why you want a plan and you want to get intentional. Now, the earlier question, the other part was, how do you change bad habits for other people? And as a coach, the answer is here first. If they have the answer is we can't change other people. We can only influence them. They can change themselves. So do they have the desire? A lot of people say they have the desire and ultimately they do not. This is the proof of the desire. They track. If they do not track, they do not have the desire. We can't change other people. So they must have these components: the desire, the knowledge, and the basic capacity. Looks like Billy has a question.
Hey, Martin. First of all, fantastic kind of sharing. So like bundling certain of knowledge from Charles Hicks and James Clear obviously in there. So this since your book is there since 10 plus years ago, right? I want to ask you this question: is that based on your experience, what will be the advice from you, the most effortless way that I can do to inject this kind of more and more good habits in my life? The effortless way. How can I do this effortlessly?
Effortlessly?
Yes.
So yeah, effortlessly is the result of a habit development, right? Once a habit is developed, it's far more effortless. That's what is meant by automaticity. Now, the sad news is there's no escaping. It's difficult at first. It's difficult before it becomes easy. Just reflect on tying your shoes, driving, learning to play piano. All these things are difficult before they become automatic and easier and more effortless. So I love the question. You're saying how to make it more effortless, because it's going to be difficult, is have a conducive environment, have a conducive story, make sure that the ecosystem is congruent and aligned. That's going to help to ensure the habit development is easier. It's not going to be, it will never be effortless at the beginning. I wish I could tell you it's effortless. It'll become more effortless over time. It's a good question. Thank you.
I think there are a few more questions. Maybe I just ask you. You keep talking about 4 weeks in your habit strengthening.
Yep.
What is the basis of that 4 weeks, and how do you get to it?
So the basis is now we have 12 years plus of data. But really, when it originated, it was me trying to cultivate habit strength to achieve a goal. And I was using the rhythm of the week. Now, the truth be told, some people try to use 2 weeks of tracking data before they adjust their plan. That is okay. I still prefer, and I teach 4 weeks. We're using the rhythm of the week. So 1 week is not enough data. 2 weeks is minimal. 4 weeks is best. That's the answer. Here's the other thing, critical to PAR. And this is explained, of course, in the habit factor. We kind of rushed through it, but we do not raise the bar, Guy and Peter. We do not raise the bar unless we're 85% or better for the first 4 weeks. So I'm not going to try to write for 40 minutes 4 times a week if I couldn't write 3 times a week for 20 minutes. I do not raise the bar. This is why we start low, we track for 4 weeks, and we elevate another 4 weeks, and then elevate. And that's what creates the automaticity. Billy, I wish I could say it's effortless. It is not, it is not effortless at the beginning. Whoa.
Yeah, excellent. And I think it's a great time to just to mention to everyone, you know, encourage you all, if you've enjoyed what you've seen today and you've heard today. This is Martin's latest book. It's called, wait for it, It's All a Story. It's available on Amazon. And of course, there's bonuses and great benefits available for those who purchase it. So if you like the session today, and if you want to grow more and get more in depth in the subtopic, scan the QR code here in the screen or follow the link in the chat box. And you may be surprised to know as well that this, you know, if my sources are correct, this book is packed full of exciting advice, and it's around 780 pages long, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Did I make a mistake?
It's 315. What I'm saying is, when you add all three books, if you really want to get into the trilogy, yeah, it's 900 pages in total. And it gets deep into pressure, deep into habit, and of course, very deep into story. Not a big deal, but it looks like we got a little typo up here. So yeah, change your stories, change your habits. I got this from Peter. Change your life. The trilogy. This is a prequel. When I started writing The Habit Factor 15 years ago, I had no idea that we would be here now doing this. This is the inner circle. And as a coach, it's so critical to keep that ecosystem in mind and make sure there's congruency and alignment. Thank you very much. That was fun.
Give a big hand. Give a big hand to Martin. We are so grateful for this session, Martin. Every time listening to you, I learned so much, and even today. So I think we have already passed the time here today. So we will just wrap up and wish all of you a wonderful day, wonderful evening. And once again, Martin, we look forward to seeing you in our future programs and events. If any of you are interested to have Martin run any programs, in-house trainings or workshops or events for your organization, please feel free to reach out to ITD World. We are here to serve and add value to you. Martin,
Yeah, that would be great.
the key thing I can say here today is the echo system. I used to call it echo chambers, but it is ecosystem. The three elements, you have made it simple, and it's all about the story. So align the environment with the story, and then make the change in the habit. And this is the essence of your amazing story. And I like the hero story the most. If you have that hero story in your mind, this is the answer also to Billy, right? If you have that most compelling hero story in your mind, then it's going to be a lot effortless. It's definitely not going to be effortless. You're still going to put in a lot of effort. But if you have the hero story in your mind, that will give you that amazing power to change your habits and change your life. So it comes back to powerful, amazing stories. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful time and look forward to seeing you. Thank you once again, Martin. Let's give him a big hand.
Get the book. Feel free to reach out to me. Peter, you're great. Thank you.
Let's take a picture together. Take a picture. Come on, Martin. Smile. Give a thumbs up. Everyone, turn on your video. Billy, come on, Billy. You want effortless? Smile. Yeah. Turn on your videos. Aaron, can you just hide the non-video participants? All right.
I don't know
it's
how I get
all a story. It's all a story. Smile, smile. Take a picture. We'll post it. Yeah, beautiful.
Everyone smile. Hold your smile. Hold your smiles.
Great
Hold,
job.
hold.
I had so much fun. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Congratulations on your latest book.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.